Dividing colonies in order to make new ones is an excellent way to save money, replace failed colonies, grow a beekeeping business, and prevent bees from swarming. Since avoiding swarms is so important, it is paramount that the beekeepers understand and manage the conditions that lead to an actual swarm event. According to the University of Guelph's Honeybee Research Center's YouTube page, there are several simple methods for splitting colonies. Honeybees swarm to reproduce, and it is in the beekeeper's best interest to either prevent swarming before it happens or to attract a swarm as it is happening. The main reason bees swarm is bifold. Usually, an older queen running the show and the hive is overcrowded. An older queen produces less pheromone, and with a larger hive population, that pheromone cannot reach every bee in the hive. The colony's response to this is to start to make new queen cells. Once these queen cells are started, the bees will begin reducing the egg laying of the queen, hence preparing for the next journey. Before the swarm splits off, the bees make sure the space is well prepared. All brood will be sealed off, and the first day after that, the swarm flies away. They do all of this before the new queen emerges. With a queen in each colony, separate brood rearing efforts can take place, therefore accelerating the number of bees created collectively. This act is known as colony-level reproduction. The main method to preventing a swarm and simulating colony-level reproduction is through splitting a hive once one starts to see signs of future swarming. According to the University of Guelph's Honey Bee Research Center, there are several ways to split a hive, but we will look at just one of them. This method involves finding the queen and catching her to leave in the original colony. One will also need to purchase a mated queen and introduce the new queen to the new split. The new colonies will likely not be very strong, and a weaker colony is more likely to accept the new queen. Logistically, one could get a new stand, baseboard, and deep box. To that deep box, one would add 2 to 3 frames of capped brood from the original hive and shake a minimum of 3 brood frames into the new deep box. Young bees are more likely to stay with the split. This is because the young bees have not fully developed and are not ready to forage and fly far from home. Next, one would fill the rest of the deep box and the parent colony with new frames, ideally drawn frames, making sure to respect bee space. Once the frames are back in the parent colony, the queen can be released back in. The University of Guelph's Honey Bee Research Center recommends restricting the entrance on the new hive for a week. Next, introduce the new caged mated queen into the middle frames between the cells and leave her caged for a week to prevent bees from killing her. In this method, if one keeps the bees in the same yard, several bees will move back to their old home. However, if this colony is moved within 2 to 4 miles from each other, there will likely not be very much returning. Sometimes, no matter how vigilant or sensitive to the signs of swarming a beekeeper is, one's bees swarm. One way to catch your bees once they start swarming is by setting up a lure. To set up this trap, a beekeeper can simply set up a deep box with some drawn comb, add some food and lemongrass oil. When the bees swarm, they are looking for food, comfort, and safety. According to Beekeeping Like a Girl, if a beekeeper catches a swarm, they should leave it alone for at least a week to let it acclimate. When the bees arrive, they will immediately start building comb and the queen will start laying eggs. But new comb and eggs aren't a big enough investment to hold the bees to their location. If they sense a threat to their space, they will leave and the beekeeper will have missed out on some of their personal investment. Dividing colonies to make new ones seems to be the most economical way a beekeeper can expand their business or hobby. As we have learned in previous discussions, beekeeping is expensive, and in order to be sustainable in this process, knowing how to split hives is imperative.